Hey, welcome everyone. I did my bachelor's in industrial engineering and management from RVCE Bangalore. Upon graduating, I worked for Grant Thornton for about an year. It was mostly in the capacity of an analyst working towards audit of both financial and IT audits. It was pretty much aligned to what I learned in my during my college curriculum. So I decided to move on and try something different. Just like I saw someone said that I have quit my job and I have 10 months to do something. So I had the same scenario wherein I quit my job and I didn't know what's the next phase of my plan. So about 2 months I wasted. I kept on giving. I think I've given almost every exam that, as in India, that we have. I gave GATE, I gave CAT. I've also given GMAT after I came to US. I gave a lot of exams. Through GATE, I got a position of GRF in IIT BHU, and I started working for. I know most of you have heard about the Parag Dairy, so I started working for Parag Dairy. It was a state government's project to improve their production and supply chain. So I worked there for close to about a year and a half. And during this phase, I started my preparation for GRE long back, but I had some financial issues, some other family issues that kind of kept me on my plan on hold. So I decided to retake my GRE and do a fresh start, and I started my preparation from, I think, fall 15. And I gave my GRE and everything, and I got my admit in University of Michigan for fall 2016. At the time when I joined Michigan, I already had a work experience of close to about 2 years, and I thought it would be good enough for me to to easily get a good job and make sure that I have successfully completed my masters, as well as have a career oriented path. Came to US. Pretty much it was a change of scene for me because it was my first time. Like most of you guys will be going there. So pretty much a different environment. It was more academic oriented, I would say, and it was pretty much a struggle for me to get myself to a position where I can say that, hey, I am technically sound. I thought I was technically sound. I used to do a lot of research. I had worked on a lot of research papers. I published most of them, but I thought I was pretty much technically sound. But I came to US and it was all different environment altogether. One thing I like to say to everyone is that make sure that beyond your own curriculum, so if you are in chemical or industrial or mechanical, try to have a technical skill or two at your hand, something like SQL, Python, or all those things. That thing can take you to heights because unlike in India, US is more flexible in terms of how education is granted. So you guys will have competition from people from China, Middle East, and people from US itself. And all of these individuals will have one or two technical skills in terms of programming or other such certifications. So it's a good handy advice for you guys to take that into consideration. So came to US, pretty much a struggle for my first half of journey. I couldn't get my summer internship till I think I would say February or March end. It was when I started getting interviews. So my first career fair was in fall of 2016. I didn't get anything. My winter career fair, I didn't get anything. And then I started the real struggle, what you call. I started approaching everyone, cold emails. I've sent close to 150, 200 emails. So that was the journey where I realized the mistake that I was doing. So I kept learning from my mistakes, took a small internship, capitalized maximum on that, made sure that even with a small consulting firm, I should be contributing to a level wherein I can boast about it. So I kept on working hard for that small company. It was not expected, but I did, just so that I have something to speak about. I have my story is ready, and made sure that I'm attending every career fair, every conferences, or every talks that a company is giving out, even if that company is not sponsoring H1B, because it's all about networking and networking, right? So kept on doing that. One thing led to other, kept on pushing hard, so much that finally kind of got me a I mean, I got me a job that I wouldn't expect myself after what I've seen as a trend. So yeah, that was whole journey. It was filled with struggles, surprises. But the best part was that all the steps or every phase of that journey had a learning, had an experience attached with it. And as of today, I would say that, all you have to do to be successful is have that persistence and have this consistency in your confidence to make sure that you guys are on that same path. Yeah. So as far as admission is concerned, and based on my experience, I would say that everything kind of revolves around numbers. I know we do talk about a lot of things. Hey, the universities in US doesn't look into does look at overall performance and not just numbers. But trust me, numbers speak a lot. And I've worked in the graduate admission center, and I haven't actually evaluated anyone, but I have talked to a lot of counselors, and which I know for a fact that your GPA and your GRE marks are definitely eye-catching. I'm not saying you will be judged solely on that, but they are definitely eye-catching because they are numbers, right? And then your work experience. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't matter. It depends on what kind of bachelor's you're doing. If you're doing a master's, MS, Master of Science with thesis, or Master of Science pure, yes, your work experience may not matter that much. But if you're doing something more on management oriented, such as Masters of Engineering Management or data analytics and stuff, things like those, so experience kind of plays a critical role there as well. So once these three numbers have achieved, then comes the important part of how are you, your statement of purpose. One thing I would say that the statement of purpose should it should not be a kind of a story. It should be like you're direct to the point. I know we have a tendency of, writing that I did this, I did that, I did that. That's perfect. You should always follow the star format of, what was the situation, what was your action that you took in that situation, and what was your result. And I'm a strong believer of the star format, and I kind of also believe, I'll go on to further later in the conversation, I'll tell you why a star is important, but make sure that you keep that structure in your SOP, keep it crisp. You don't have to write long big because nobody got time. Any big university will have 1,000, 2,000 applicants every year, so you need to make sure that they catch your eyes immediately. So start with 1 or 2 line of anecdote, but jump directly into why you think the master is going to support you. So that should be the aim that, hey, that let's say if I want to do a master's, I want to do a master's to improve my technical skill, because in past I have done this, and I felt that there is a gap between what I did and what was my learning. So those kind of aspects, the purpose point of the SOP should always be there. Letter of recommendations are, if you get from a good university, you get from a decent university, or if you get even from your work, will have a role, but it doesn't play that much of a role as much as your other aspect of application process does. So when we do a profile evaluation, make sure that you keep your numbers on peak as much as possible. Then your statement of purpose should, make sure when you read your statement of purpose, it should be an interesting one. You feel like reading your own statement of purpose over and over again. So when I used to get my SOPs evaluated by people, I used to tell them, don't read that as an SOP. Read it and tell me, did you like reading it? Were you interested, or were you just doing for the sake of me asking it? That kind of helps me a lot, because out of 10 or 15 people that read my resume, the SOP, everybody told me that, hey, it shows you've done a lot of things, but I got bored after some point of time. So try to make that part of it, make sure that it reads like a crisp, passage. And then the last thing I would say, while you're doing your profile, your resume should be, your resume should meet whatever you're saying in your SOP. That both of those should be aligned. Do not, if the university requires 500-word SOP, do not put the content of resume in SOP. Make sure that it's just purpose. In case university has no word limit, then you can put your experience as well, because for 500-word essays, you're already sending the resume. They only need 500 words to understand why you want to be there. So kind of that sums up more or less of entire application process and profile evaluation. So make sure your numbers are on top, your SOPs are on top, and definitely the letter of recommendation becomes a mandatory part later. So it's very funny that I got my reject from all the safe universities that applied to within the first 1 month. So I was like literally nervous. Yes, initially I had at some point of time I had decided to do a PhD, and there was this professor from University of Groningen I met at IIT BHU for a conference, and that's how I knew about it. So University of Groningen was my safe bet because I wasn't expecting any admit when I started seeing the reject from my safe colleges. So learning to that part, and that's just my assumption, is that sometimes if your profile is really good, you do get rejects from safe colleges because kind of have that assumption that, hey, he's overqualified to be to accept our admit. Sometimes that happens. That's my assumption. I've seen a lot of people like me who had better profiles couldn't get into the safer universities. So University of Groningen was a safe bet. It had nothing to do with I didn't do a lot of research, but I just kind of wanted to do masters. I wanted to do higher education, so that was just a safe bet. Out of the 5 admits that I got in US, the whole point of me choosing Michigan was twofold. One, the ranking for industrial operations engineering was #2 at that stage. Georgia Tech is #1, and then Michigan and I think Cornell is ranked. Sorry, Michigan and UCB is ranked together, but right now Michigan is #2. The second reason why I chose Michigan was because Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is one of the best cities in US, and it has been ranked every year because of its how the environment is. It's safe, it's cheap. You'll find way too many people from India and Asia, so it's livable. It's easy. The houses on rent are, the people who rent houses they're very considerate about the education, about the college going students. So they're very lenient about it. And the third thing, which kind of just was a coincidence, was that my brother-in-law was in Detroit. So I thought it would be a better way for me to to be closer to a family. So that was the whole reason why I chose Michigan, and also the fact that Michigan has a program called TOBA, which kind of gives you a mandatory internship in one of the better companies. So if you qualify for that exam, if you qualify for that particular program, all you have to do is submit a resume, and they have an interview. Excuse me. So if you qualify that TOBA is a cross-functional of both Ross MBA and Industrial Operations Engineering Master. So they selected few students. I think the number is close to 30 or 35. They choose 3 or 4 from masters, and rest everyone is from MBA and Master of Supply Chain. So you get to do interns. So you definitely get the internship chances is 100%. You have to do internship. That's part of the curriculum, and you don't even have to sit for the interview. It's like you have to bid for the company based on the points that you get, and it's just a bid war. So once you win the bid for the company you want to go, you do an internship, and then based on how well you do an internship, you get a full-time offer. So it's a really great opportunity. I didn't go to TOBA. I couldn't get selected. So that was also another reason why I wanted to do Master's from University of Michigan. Finance was, so my dad's a doctor. So initially he wanted to sponsor me. For me, I didn't want to do that because I know he already had sponsored a lot of my bachelor, my bachelor's education and all the duration of my bachelor's. So this time I wanted to take up an education loan. One thing I would say that I would always prefer to take an education loan from a Indian federal bank such as State Bank of India or Punjab National Bank rather than a private bank. For reason because yes, they do ask for collateral, but the interest rate is pretty low, and if you keep on paying interest, not even the installment, but just keep on paying interest during the duration of your college degree, you save a lot. Your parent could save a lot of tax money, plus also the interest rate doesn't float and go too much for you to pay back once you get the job. So for me, it was Punjab National Bank. The process was a little gruesome because, obviously it's a federal bank, so they need a lot of documents, a lot of signatures. I think close to 150 documents I've submitted. And the rate of interest was 9 when they gave it to me. But since my parents were paying the installments every year, I think I have the current rate of interest as 8.5, so it got reduced by 0.5. So try to see if you can get that. If not, definitely there is HDFC Credila, and also there is Prodigy Finance, which has suddenly gained a lot of popularity. So you can use that as well, just to leverage the rate of interest. As far as my visa experience goes, I think I just came out in like 5 seconds. I went there. They asked me, what university are you going? I said University of Michigan, and then they were like, do you like snow? I said yes, and I think so. Yeah, that's it. I think nothing more. So it kind of. So I wouldn't say everybody gets the same experience, but trust me, that time and time today is pretty much different. The immigration laws are a little more strict. It's not strict just for Indians; it is strict overall. So if you're being asked too many questions, don't feel that you're being targeted. It's just the normal norms. Make sure that you be honest in those interviews. Make sure that when you talk about what's the purpose of your visit, what we're going to do after your master's degree, try to give an answer that's believable. I know we have a same answer saying, I want to come back in India and work for so-and-so company. Yes, that's the right answer, but you need to dive deep in that and could say like, hey, I want to graduate and try to learn two things about what aspect of technology or manufacturing India is growing up. Like currently, I know agricultural technology and agricultural analytics is something that's going to boom in 5 or 6 years. You can say, I want to come back and work as a data analytics in the agricultural sector. That's going to boom. So you get those, do a little more research so that the person who's talking to you would understand that you are very well informed. That kind of goes, both ways. So just be honest. Try to be more. Try to have all those documents. The documents are definitely going to be asked if they feel that you don't have a good explanation. Most of the cases, they won't ask document if they feel that your answer is good enough for them. And yeah, I think that's more or less. Visa is more of I would say 30% luck, 70% on you. So 70% you can do good, 30% remains on the mood of the person interviewing you. When I came in, the struggle was, I would say it was kind of a overwhelming experience because first time out of India, everything I have to do on my own. I have done things on my own in India too when I took admission, but it's very different. Like you cannot bribe someone just to get past the authorities. So most of the things I did not know where to go, how to do things. So that was the struggle. The best part of that struggle was that generally, mostly if you talk to someone in US and ask them about, hey, where can I get this? They will be very kind to inform you about it. For me, I don't know that person's name, but that particular lady, she was going some other direction, and I asked her where is the admission office. She took my hand and she dropped me till the gate of that, and I still remember that. So that was a good experience. The second struggle was that we have that psychology like, hey, dollar versus Indian rupee. So if you eat a food, let's say a $7 meal, you start calculating, oh, it's $500 or it's $450. So it's a human nature that's gonna come. You don't have to worry about that. At some point of time, you will realize it's not gonna work, not gonna matter anymore, because once you get those part-time jobs, you're gonna start earning in dollars. So for me, yes, those 2 months I was trying to cut my expenses as much as I can. And then I think I got a job in the dining hall, and then one thing led to other. I started saving a lot of money, and it kind of became easy for me to settle down. The second overwhelming experience was the classes. When I went to those classes, the level of education is like way over what I have experienced in India. Not saying that India doesn't have a good education system. It does, but it's very different because in India we are taught from the root level, right? Um, like 1+1 and then how we go. When I came to masters, most of the things were pretty much on the higher end. But the best part about that was that the you can ask as many questions as you want. I still remember asking way too many questions because it was all going on top of my head. But the professor is patient. They have their own office hours. You can go sit with them. GSIs, the teaching assistant or the graduate student instructors for those professors, they are extremely helpful. Try to leverage that as well to build up this thing. Do not get lost and hearted if you feel like do not get disappointed if you feel like your first test marks are not good. For me, I didn't get a good mark. I think I was definitely out of the 4 subjects that I took. In 2 subjects, I was the bottom 5% in the class. So don't have to worry about it because that sometimes it takes for different people it takes different time to adjust. And try not to be that consistent at performance. Try to build up. Try to take that as lessons to learn. One thing again, I would say MS demands too much of your time. So if you think that it's going to be as chilled as that we have engineering in India, it's not going to be the same. You need to spend, I don't know, like 8 hours in libraries, finishing off assignments, doing group projects and stuff like those. And the best part is everybody is going to be there in library. You're not going to be the only one. So you get that motivation to study even harder. I remember in my second semester, because of my performance in the first, I was in library until 2 a.m. and 1 a.m. But it's worse, it's just that phase of time. And the third thing is from the career perspective. You need to understand that yes, you are there to get education, but unless and until you are doing a PhD or if you have come with that plan, you need to understand that getting the job becomes your top priority as well. So as soon as you step into the university, make sure that you have a resume, which is pretty much by the standards of the college. So you will get the career center of the employment center or the career center. You can go there, get your resume critiqued on day 1 or day 2 because I didn't do that. I went with what I had from India and did not work. So start from there, start building networking from day 1 because your careers, most of the colleges have career fair in September itself. So if you get an interview in September itself, that's going to boost your morale. 2 mock interviews with your seniors who've already got job. I did for Amazon, I did close to 6 or 7 interviews before I actually got an interview. Even before I got an interview, I was doing mock interviews. I thought I would get an interview. So keep doing interviews even if you don't have an offer, so that at least if something comes your way, you are always ready. So keep doing that. Keep applying to as much companies as want. Keep sending cold emails. Be shameless when it comes to applying. That's what I say to people because you need to understand we have 17 or 20% of Indian population there. So everybody is applying, and nobody's going to wait for you that to not apply. So keep applying, keep your practice your elevator speech, and just be ready for the time being. And do not again get disappointed if you don't get something. Try to work around with professors. Try to see if you can get a research position and all those things. So try to do everything and anything. Everything on your resume does count as long as you can talk about it and it makes sense to the employer. Industrial engineering is a kind of an interdisciplinary branch. In my class, and my roommate, the guy, he's also in Amazon. Pretty much, he was very helpful for me. That guy was from naval background, marine engineering. In my class, I had marine engineers. I had people from CS background. I had people from mechanical engineering, chemical engineering. So it's a very interdisciplinary branch. Industrial engineering has a lot of different courses depending on what a line you wanna pursue. So there is operation research, which is hardcore quantitative. So if you are good at programming, Python, SQL, you can use operation research. It talks about optimization and stuff like those. So operational research is kind of is a booming industry. They are being used in in artificial intelligence to a certain extent. They're also being used in optimizing the transportation networks. All these big companies who are trying to create, like Tesla, for example, they're trying to create the new parking system. So how you can you can park your car one place and you can get it in a different place. All these how to connect those networks would go by the transportation or network optimization. All the finance companies are using operation research, like American Express and all those companies, to predict the risk analysis, doing the risk analysis and all those things. So if you're good at programming, Python, SQL, C++, operation research would be very easy for you. Even if you're not good at programming, but you're good with numbers and stuff, you can practice and it's still going to be good. So I did take a couple of operation research courses such as time series and queuing theory. So it was close to that thing. The second line for industrial engineering is quality and production. So Lean, Six Sigma, design for Six Sigma, total quality management, all those lines. So that line is, again, it's kind of a mix of manufacturing with a little bit of number, like how much, how can you manage your quality, what should be your DPMO, all those things. And trust me, it's for me, it was my favorite subject, design for Six Sigma, because it has lots and lots of insights and kind of helps you a long way when you work for a production company or when you work on a shop floor or a warehouse like Amazon. The third stream is ergonomics. Ergonomics is something which not many people know, but it's one of the most critical aspect of any industry. The only challenge for international students is that there aren't many jobs for international students, because most of the companies that hire for ergonomics are like NASA and all those shipping companies. But you can definitely integrate your design aspect with ergonomics, and you can apply for all the design companies, all these automobiles design industry. So that's the third stream. In Michigan itself, the supply chain is not part of industrial operations engineering. There is a altogether different course called Masters in Supply Chain, MSSCM, Masters in Supply Chain Management. But yes, supply chain is also an integral part of industrial operations engineering. And supply chain is definitely, it's also booming. One thing that has changed in supply chain industry is that from being a pure supply chain industry, now it has transitioned over supply chain analytics. So I would say it's true for every industry. Every industry has that analytics phase. So if you are good with the numbers and you can run queries using SQL, Python, or you can do a little bit of Excel. Even if you're good with Excel, you can do data analytics in Excel. You can go a long way, because every industry needs someone with a cross-functional skill set, such as analytics goes with the pure number. So that's the other thing. The best part about industrial engineering is that you can apply to any company. Like, you are not restricted to apply just to industrial engineering companies. You can apply to consulting, you can apply to operations, you can apply to supply chain, you can apply to data analytics. You can even apply to Google and Facebook if you are good with coding skills. So being an interdisciplinary branch, and it's a funny story that IOE is called In and Out Easy because of the so many opportunities and so less to stress about. But at the same time, you need to understand that you need to choose your courses wisely, depending on what kind of path you want to build for yourself. For one thing that kind of did not work in my favor was, I would say it was entirely my fault, is that I didn't take enough help. I didn't take enough resources that were available. I was a little bit introvert when asking for help in that particular domain. So by the time I realized that I need to pull up myself, it was pretty late. So I just took that 1 month. I gave all my 100% effort, and I got a internship in a small defense consulting company. Uh, Once I finished my internship, I know all of other my friends were already doing internship with Amazon or Apple or all big shots. At that stage, it gave me a time that I could work, I could do my internship. It was not that demanding, and at the same time, I can keep on building my network. For Amazon, what I did, and I don't know if everybody can want to do that, but it's a good way. I feel it's a good way is that if your college has a MBA, uh, building next to you, or if there are MBA student in your college, make sure that you always attend the MBA career fair. The role that I am in right now, it's an MBA role, and not many master students get that role, because the only people that do get their role who have 4 year of work experience, and or they're part of Tauber. So Amazon recruits heavily from University of Michigan, especially from Ross. So I knew that thing, and what I used to do is that I used to spend all my last semester in Ross School of Business. I still remember there were days when I used to continuously for full 1 week. I used to wear formals, and I used to have that bag of my resume, and I used to sit in Ross. I used to take a couple of Ross courses as well. So I used to spend all my days in Ross. Any company that comes in, I used to go and put in my resume along with the MBA students as well. Funny thing happened with Amazon that I had ACL in my leg, and it was kind of a rough patch for me. Amazon came in, it was pretty much crowded. Like you would know that it's Amazon because the entire auditorium was house full and people were still standing. Amazon has a culture wherein they come in for their orientation, and after orientation they invite everyone to a bar for pizzas and beer. We went to the bar afterwards. Everybody was busy talking, and I would say this is not the right way to do, but kind of worked for me. Everybody was busy talking to ops manager and everyone, and I just saw the HR manager. She was standing right there next to, and she was alone. So I went up to her. I started talking to her. She already knew me because I was talking to her during orientation as well. When she told me that they need at least 3.5 years of experience before they can, even select someone for interview. So I gave her some reason why I feel that I can contribute. I told her that I know for a fact that Tauber students that go to Amazon, not all of them have 2 years of experience. Some of them are even fresh hire. So I told her that here's my resume. Please have a look. If you feel that I'm not good enough in any aspect, I'm more than happy if you can send me the reject. So I did send in my resume, and I waited for 1 full month. I knew I wouldn't get it, but I did get an assessment call, and then it led to 4 rounds of interviews. So I would say for Amazon, I didn't do anything different except for the fact that that was one company I was so persistent about, that I kept pushing till the point where they finally, somebody finally thought, okay, fine, let's give them a chance. And that should be the attitude towards every company. You don't have to feel awkward that, oh, what if that particular person thinks wrong of me? Nobody's going to think wrong of you, because everybody knows that it's job market is very competitive. So keep on pushing people in a polite way, of course, but make sure that don't ever give up. It's what I say. It's gonna be 1 month of stress or 2 months of stress, but it's gonna be fruitful in the long term. So that's what I did. I kept on pushing. So another tip I would give: have as many as resume possible, but make sure that every resume is aligned to the company that you're applying to. Go to their job descriptions, see what is expected out of that role. Try to cater your state experience to that role. You don't have to lie about it, but you need to make sure that it kind of aligns to what they're looking for. So if they're looking for a leadership role, make sure that you put that bullet point above anything else, like managing a team of 6 or 7. So that goes a long way. So if I applied to 150 companies, I had 150 different resumes. I know kind of like sounds like too much, but trust me, any change, any difference that you make from the resume is gonna go a long way. So make sure that you are different than anyone else. So keep altering your resume for every company. Keep doing that. Keep being persistent about it. Sometimes you feel like HR doesn't uh, talk to you that much, or if you feel like HR is not giving you that many attention, but trust me, they are. They just want to make sure that you are dedicated enough. You are respectful and dedicated enough. Just giving out resume and then walking past makes like, okay, like just like 100 resumes that they collect, your resume becomes one of them. But staying there, talking to them, having a pen with yourself, pointing it out that, hey, I did this and this is how I can contribute to your company because I did so and so in this particular company, goes a long way. Some people are not very technically sound, but if you can make it a layman word of saying that, hey, I led a team of 6 and I see it. So I'm going to give you an example. What I did was that when I was working, I had a very small team to lead. Like, it wasn't 2 or 3 people. But I can always talk about it by saying that, hey, I led a team of 6. Um, so I did my part of leadership, but I'm still hungry for more. So I want to transition myself from that 6 number to maybe 100 and 150 what Amazon has in his warehouse. So I started pointing that out to her. I started pointing out to her as continuous improvement because Amazon is very strong on that. And then I started pointing out, like out of the 14 leadership principles that Amazon has, I kind of pointed out 2 or 3 of them. So if you do your research, extensive research for a company, and just don't overread it. Just go deep. It's gonna take time. Just read about it, what they are doing, what opportunities they have, what strong point they have, and use those things to make those things as a talking point. So the person knows that you are very much interested because you did do your research. And this is where people in America, awesome. I know a friend of mine who has this thick booklet, and he has actually written bullet points for each and every company. So you have to do that you need to be different. There are like 2,000, 3,000 applicants. So you need to be different. Why the company should be sending you out the interview. Uh, so Amazon is great. I would say I haven't worked in any other company. I've just worked in a couple of different roles, but I would say that um, Amazon is really great. It's a really awesome company to be in. Trust me, yes, there is the tough part is that being in a pathways role, your actual work-life balance is minimal, but that's the fun of it. I don't know. I don't like to go every day out, but if I don't go to work one day, I feel I'm not happy about it. So um, it turns you into a person like you want to be there every day because there is no monotonity. Every single day is different. So for me, I manage close to 100 associates under me. So in a pathways role, you start as an area manager. You do one peak season, and then you are automatically promoted to an ops manager. That's how it works. Um, so even though you are hired as an ops manager, even though you get paid as an ops manager, you still start as an area manager because you need to understand the work culture before you can actually manage a full leadership team of the area managers and then associates under those area managers. So I work for a department. It's kind of a very complicated department of the building because it has a very different rules, and it has a lot of standard work and everything. And plus the people culture. I'm from India. People who work with me are American, Indian, Mexican. So everybody has a very different culture, and Amazon respects every culture which is out there. So you need to respect that culture as well. So it's there is so much conflict every single day. So yes, you have to manage process, but your like majority part of your day goes out in managing people, and managing people is the toughest part in any job sector. So for me, if somebody is not happy, if somebody has a conflict, if somebody is thinks that we are being biased, or if something like that, you need to eliminate or mitigate such conflict and such issues. And um, you need to be humble. People are very hardworking. They get frustrated at times. They might just come out very strong on you. They might just say things like that. But you should be humble. You can never retort in the similar voice tone or similar manner. So you kind of learn the lessons of humility, and you have to. I know some people are short tempered, but you have to control your anger when it comes to managing your associates. The process part of it is very fascinating, because Amazon always pushes your boundaries. So it's something like that. It's a 10-hour shift, but you have to do 15 hours of work in that 10 hour of shift. So you have to do a continuous improvement. You manage your team of 100 people. You need to perform every day based on the metrics that's given to you. Plus, you need to do a continuous improvement project on the same way. So you have to do three different things, and you just have like 10 hours or 12 hours of shift to do that. So it becomes challenging at times, but that has its own fun. In terms of perks, yes, we do get an MBA salary, which is you guys can Google it out. I can't, because of the privacy concern, I cannot tell you that. We do get stocks from Amazon, and based on you guys can look into the market what the stocks is going on currently. Um, uh, so yes, there is a lot of perks associated. You have a good team that can always support you, but that perks, for me, the real perks isn't the number, the cash, or the stocks. It's more about the kind of work that I do, and it's not like you go to some people are very much happy about consulting environment, where you have to read and do projects on theory for a company or for a client based on their needs. And I can't do that. I can't go in a office environment, sit down all day long and do work. For me, I need to walk around. I need to interact with people. Engage people. Engagement is where I find myself more. I find it more fascinating than just sitting in an environment. So it's very different. Consulting has its own perk. You have a sophisticated life. You get to travel a lot, and then life such as Amazon is also very different, wherein you don't have a work life, but you do get experience of a lifetime. So I started my job on April 16th. It's been like 5 or 6 months, and in 5 or 6 months, I've seen myself from the day one where I had no clue whatsoever. Like there were 1,000 things going on. There are like 1,000 metrics that I need to keep in back of my head, and I need to know the logins and the name of like 100 associates that I'm managing. So day one, I was zero. 5 months later, I know my login and login of each and every associate on my department, and name each and every associate. Around 50% of them, I know what's going in their life. How old is their son, and all those things. So it's kind of pretty much interesting. You get to talk to so many people, and they kind of being an Indian, it kind of helps out, because they for them, I don't know, I feel like they find Indian people very fascinating. So yeah, that's how it works. So for me, it's so far it has been really fantastic experience, and I would recommend it to everyone. If you guys can get through Amazon, definitely, just for the sake of that culture, definitely try out for Amazon. It's a very tough question, and to be very honest, I don't want to mislead anyone. I would say yes and no. So yes, we have seen a lot of changes in terms of immigration. I haven't seen Indians getting affected at all, especially the ones that are here. Yes, I know for companies such as the Indian companies who sent in their people to US, they have a tough time, because of the cap. But I haven't seen that much of change, that much of restrictions for Indians who are studying here. But the second part of it is, yes, you need to understand. My one of my brother was in US in 2008, 2009. that era and the era right now is changing a lot. My immediate senior, all of them got easily job. For us, it took some time. So yes, things are changing, and that has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the population that's coming in. So if there were 20,000 people in 2003 who were coming to US to study, right now it's going to be 2 lakh. So you need to understand the competition is with you, with yourself, plus other international students from China and other parts of Asia or Europe, all those things. So it has less. Yes, it has to do something with to the current politics system, but it has to do with the fact that the immigration population is coming in more. So you have to fight that. Second thing why I would say yes is that if you feel that you have enough money, that always I'm someone who always thinks about the worst before I make a decision. And call me pessimistic about it, but that's how I am. So if I know that if I can't pay back my loan, if I'm on loan, if I can't pay back that, what's gonna be my way out? If you have a way out for that, definitely come here to study. Second thing is that uh, let's say someone who wants to study, and I don't blame people who just want to come to US for job. I think everybody wants to come to US for job. It's just that harsh truth. So yes, it's a good opportunity. Yes, but guys, one thing I say that uh, make sure that you understand your college before you come in. I've seen people just for the sake of just for the sake of coming, they apply to some colleges. Make sure that you know the list, the blacklisted colleges, what colleges they are, because if just for the sake of coming to US you have started applying to those colleges, it's not gonna be a return of investment. It's gonna just be gambling with the hard-earned money. So three things to sum up that. If you are dedicated and if you want to to get education, sure, you can come to US. You will have to understand that things are changing, and it's not true for US, true for India too. The competition is increasing everywhere. So the number of H1B sponsorship is still going to be the same, or it's not going to increase at the same exponential level as the level which we see the immigrant student coming in. So if you can beat yourself and be the best out of it, yeah, sure, why not come in? But if you feel that if I don't get a job, it's gonna be really bad for me or my family. I would recommend you guys to make sure that you rethink your decision, because I understand education is always there, but what good an education would be if your family has to go through hardship. So take that thing. If you can see that, if you can balance it out, sure, definitely come. US is gonna be a really game changer for you guys. So my way of shortlisting colleges is to keep a balance of safe, moderate, and ambitious. The Yocket app is a very good tool to use that. Uh, Along with that, once you do that list, also do a list of the tuition fees. Tuition fees and the opportunity to get an assistantship. So take that as well if you feel like that money is going to be one of the concerns. So keep your balance with your use your cut up to get the list, and then use that list, do a 3 or 4 of such lists, and use that list to shortlist if the tuition fee is going to be reasonable, and what are the chances of getting into the um, you know um, getting the citizenship. Also, make sure that you don't have to worry about that. Hey, if I'm this is a safe college, is it good enough for me? Don't think from that line, because definitely, um, the ambitious colleges are always going to be ambitious, but you need to understand that we there might be someone who is going to be better than you or not. So always keep the safe colleges as safe as possible. I have seen people making a list and keeping not keeping safe colleges or keeping a good college in the safe college. So let, let's not do that. Be clear on keeping your safe college, because that safe colleges is gonna guarantee the fact that yes, you are going to US, and then definitely ambitious and moderate, depends on how good the profile is. I would say it's pretty much high. Being a fresher and having an experience that goes a long way. Yes, there are exceptions wherein freshers get a better job than people who have experience, but if you have a good experience, uh, that's definitely going to help you in the career fair, because I know for a fact that out of in my batch we had around 200 people, and the people I knew about, I think most of them had experience, and out of those, most many of them did get job. So if you have a good experience in job and you can talk about it, yes, it's very critical. So for people, for two different set of crowd, the crowd that is already in US, make sure this is a fantastic time to be here. Guys should leverage as much as possible the source as a university. You're paying 30, 40 lakhs. Make sure that you utilize every single resources you have. Your university provides it, because no help can be in a wrong way. Any help that guys can get can go a long way. Can definitely go a long way. So utilize those resources. Keep on applying. Don't feel like what somebody would feel. Talk to someone. Send a cold email to someone if you feel like they are nearby you. Hey, can we go out on a coffee? You can do even that. I've done that too. Sometimes they will reply. Sometimes they won't reply. Don't get disheartened, because everybody does a cold email, and do a link have a LinkedIn premium, apply it, go through email, send messages through email if they're not connecting. So keep on applying, keep on pushing, keep on critical doing a critical critique for your resume. Keep on doing that based on company, and something definitely comes. There's always a silver line, trust me. There is. I know for a fact I was not the best in my class, but I did get one of the best jobs in my class. So something could click the HR, you don't know. Maybe there is something you are good at, that that's what the company needs. Maybe other brilliant students are not good at that particular aspect. So keep on applying, never lose hope. Don't even lose hope if you fail to secure a job during course of your curriculum. Just push yourself to the point. It's gonna short term push. Once you have a job, your life's gonna be easy. For people who are in India who are planning to apply, uh, practice, and it's just that to make you perfect. I know when I see post on the MSN US Facebook group, it's all about what book should I follow, what material should I follow. Trust me, there is no wrong or right book. Every book and every material is gonna help you out. The things that gonna definitely makes you stand out is the fact that how many tests you guys give. For me, I just followed two books. I followed the Baron 333 frequency words and the GRE 5 LB book. That's it. But that book and that frequency words were not of as much help as the fact that I gave 15 tests before I actually wrote my GRE. So keep practicing, keep writing tests, to get a good GRE score. If you feel that there's a financial constraint, take a year off. There's not going to be much harm. If you're young, if you're fresh out of college, take a year off. If you feel there's a financial or any sort of constraint, take a year off, build your profile, and do apply for next year. And you're not definitely not going to lose anything on that. Uh, Someone who is waiting, who has already gotten admitted and is waiting to go to US. I know most of you guys have already been in US. Do make sure that you are working on your technical skill. Use Coursera. You can get courses for free just by writing a scholarship application. You can get courses for free. Do Python, SQL, all those technical skills set, so that you are technically sound when it comes to interview. And last thing, just keep pushing yourself. There's a thing like it's a continuous improvement in your own. So even if something doesn't work in your favor, you practice the thing that you have learned is never gonna lose a phase in your life. So just keep pushing. There's gonna be so many jobs in US. There's someone We know we have a lot of people coming in, and it's getting competitive, but so does India, right? India is getting competitive as well. So if I were to choose, being in a competitive environment, being in India and US, you need to understand that both have its own perks. So just keep pushing yourself, be focused, and everything is well sorted, and things gonna go do some wonders for you guys.